in the wet. And, you know, Carl should be confident enough in the wet. He's had plenty of racing in the wet. I would actually prefer to see a dry race, hopefully get a wet race and a dry race, because then we, you know, get the best of both worlds.
Well, we can take a look now at the conditions live from Albacete. There it is, that's what it looks like. James, not a pretty sight.
No, definitely not. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, though, the line water that they were complaining about earlier. But it's obviously very wet. And like Jeremy says, hopefully what will happen is you'll get like a good dice up the front. Albacete is very tight. There's a lot of passing places. So, you know, hopefully it should be a good race. Well,
there you see the rounds as they will come as the year goes on. All of them live here on Sky Sports. Uninterrupted racing is what you get with Sky. But Albacete is wet. They've dug ditches at the inside of the corners to keep the puddles away. That was the only thing that was going to cause us a problem at Albacete, was whether the water laid on the side. There's the shape of the track. Albacete in Spain. Whoever said about rain falling mainly on the plain? Well, Jeremy, I mean, tracks dry fairly quickly. Not a lot of breeze down there. It's not that warm either, considering where they are. Do you reckon we'll get a dry line by about mid-distance with this? Will tyre choice be a major issue here?
Doesn't really look like it's going to dry up, does it? I mean, it's going to take a whole race for that to dry, and you know, that's hoping that there's no rain whatsoever during the race.
James, what bike do you think might have an advantage in these conditions, if any of them nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think anything has. Obviously, the Ducati is really good at, you know, it can pull these high gears or whatever, and it's got loads of torque, so... Familiar
territory for you there, a Suzuki, James.
Yeah, that's it. Well, obviously, the Suzukis are going to be right up there in the race. No, I don't know. I think it'll be pretty tight, and I've never seen Haga in the wet, but...
No, neither have any of us, and that's something to behold, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be exciting. If he's anything like he's in the dry, I think he'll be all over the place, but at the front, so look forward to that.
Well, there are the wins of the year, of course. 3 wins going to Yamaha this year. Who'd have expected that? Even though they're only 3rd in the Manufacturers' Championship, they are actually 3 wins compared with Ducati's 1 and Honda's 2. Unbelievable stuff. So that is Albacete, and... we've got all the action coming up very, very soon into. And we have got, now I can tell you, Jonathan Green managed to get one of our favourites out of his motorhome first thing this morning. Pier Francesco Chili is with Jonathan Green.
Well, getting all the water out of his helmet right now, Frankie Keeley, as you can see. There's no rest for the wicked, you know. He's doing all the work here. He's doing it all on his own. But Frankie, what are the conditions like? How do you feel this afternoon's going to go for you?
I don't know, in what condition, you know, it's always hard because very easy to make a mistake. But this is a condition, and I hope to do well in the race and make a point in the result.
I suppose the fans should have the most sympathy for you, because you were the fastest after qualifying, and yet you're 9th on the grid now.
Yeah, I'm fasted, but I'm not dry. So now it's wet, and Colin Edwards make a very good lap time in warm-up this morning. I'm looking about choice the tire for the race and about setting. I don't know, we'll see in the race, and I hope everybody have a good race.
Well, we all hope to have a good race. Thanks a lot, Frankie Keeley.
Thanks.
Jonathan Green there in his cape. I wonder if he wears his underwear on the outside of his clothes. Jeremy, difficult conditions. They've had a warm-up this morning in the wet. How difficult has it been, do you think, after having dry qualifying and just a wet warm-up to set the bike up?
You can, believe it or not, you can actually learn quite a lot from sort of 15 or 20 minutes in the wet. Whenever it stops in Grand Prix because of rain, you get 15 minutes then to go and set the bike up. We've all raced in the wet, and we've a pretty good idea what the settings are. You just got to soften everything off a little bit and change the gear, and so there's not a lot to do to the bike, but it's finding the grippy parts of the track and the slippy parts, and that's what they've been trying to do. The more laps you can put in, obviously the easier it is to find where it's really slippy. And it's just a matter of keeping yourself up through the real slippy parts and, you know, going fast through the grippy bits.
Well, we can see live pictures now. This is what it looks like at Albacete. We're back over in Albacete. And James, the water is still pretty much laying there, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a lot of water down, but it's, I mean, you get a lot of spray, obviously, from following another rider. Normally, you know, you always want to be out there, but I must admit, sitting here in the studio today, I'm quite glad that we're here and they're there.
Well, we're on board there with Noriyuki Haga, the series leader. None of us know what this man is capable of in the wet, but if it's anything like what he does in the dry, we're in for something fairly spectacular, I would say. And it rains a lot in Japan as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that'll be good, yeah. The Japanese are good in the wet.
Well, as they line up onto the grid, We'll take a short break now. Julian and myself are getting all warmed up ready for this one because it is going to be exciting. We'll see you in a moment or two.
Ahora parecemos ranas. Well, it has stopped raining in Albacete, but it is still absolutely soaking wet. They're down on the grid right now, and I think we can go back and take a look at, yes, you can see the amount of water underneath the fairing area of the bike. That's Neil Hodgson's Kawasaki, by the look of it. Well, it's green anyway. Yep, it is Hodgson's bike. And Hodgson bedecked in full wet weather gear. Certainly not going to let any rain in on him. Full wet tyres as well, we can see there. Well, before the race, again, Jonathan Green in the Cape caught up with Neil Hodgson.
Well, obviously in these conditions, it's not going to be top speed that's going to make a big difference. The start's going to be important, everybody knows that. But with me, the man who's on the front row, which is where you need to be, what is going to be the biggest factor for you in terms of how you set up the bike for today?
It's difficult. You can't really set the bike up for these conditions. You know, it's very, very slippy out there. There's a lot of lying water, and you know, no matter how well your bike's set up, as soon as you hit a big puddle, it just aquaplanes. So it's difficult. The main thing that we're going to concentrate on is tyres. Really, just try and choose the right ones. You know, if the weather stays like this, we haven't got a problem. It's not going to go down to tyres. Everybody will put the softest wets on possible and do 27, 28 laps, whatever it is. If it starts to dry, then it's a minefield. There's that many different choices. You can use some intermediate tyres, which are like semi-cut slicks, or you can even take a risk and go out on slicks, you know, and then if the track dries even more, you're going to win the race. So in a way, I hope it stays like this and just carries on just drizzling so the track stays saturated. And I don't want the sun to come through, because if it does, then it's whoever wins the race could be the smartest guy, not the best rider.
Are you confident that this could be a good weekend for you?
Yeah, it's always a lottery in these conditions. You know, how hard do you push? You push 100% and crash, and everybody calls you a fool. And you ride back and ride 80% and finish 10th if you're not careful. So I've no idea what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm in a good place on the grid, get a good start and see what the situation is. You know, riders can come past you. Do you go with them? Do you hold back? You know, you don't know what to do. It's not down to, it's strategy a lot of times when the weather's like this. It's not down to who's the best rider. So I'm going to say my prayers before the race, and hopefully I'll choose the right, I'll do the right thing at the right time.
All the best to you. Well, it's Lancashire conditions, so you should be all right. Back to you.
Yeah, we certainly didn't expect to see this amount of rain at Albacete for sure. Now then, that is Colin Edwards on the grid, and he's wearing a nice little half number there of wet weather gear. The winner of Monza 2 times. He is one very amusing young man. Good value all round off track, and now that he's putting in the performances as well on track, it's a great sight to see. Formerly of Yamaha, closest he came to winning a World Superbike race last year was 2nd place, or was it even the year before? So that's your grid in Albacete, Spain, believe it or not. It could be Spa or somewhere like that in Belgium, couldn't it? There is Aaron Slight. So Aaron Slight in 5th place in the World Championship at the moment, and at 32 years old must be beginning to wonder when or if he is going to win this Superbike World Champion. Well, there's a lot going on now down there, James. What's going through the rider's mind at this point, do you think?
They're just really psyching themselves up, you know, obviously thinking about getting a good start and not letting it slide too much is so important in the wet. You know, almost a lot of the time you can drive off like a road, like, whoop, you know, and you get like that and you're driving off, whereas the people that got all the revs and try and get off real quick are sliding all over the place. So that's going to be very important, and, you know, just to get out and just get smooth.
Superbikes, I mean, you've ridden all bikes from Grant. Mind you, both of you guys in the studio here have ridden all types of motorcycles out on the track. I mean, how easy is a superbike to ride in the wet?
Easier.
Easier. Jeremy says easier. Is that the general consensus? Are they quite easy bikes to ride in the wet?
Got to be, I think, because of the power characteristics on them. I mean, they're 4-strokes and they've got lots of low down pulling power. The most difficult bike I ever ridden in the wet was a 500 Grand Prix bike, and I ended up more often off it than on it.
That was just a general thing anyway.
Probably just, yeah, well, that was normal anyway at the time, yeah.
Well, we're about to go off on our warm-up lap now, so we're just a few seconds away from the warm-up lap in Albacete. Warm-up being the operative word here, of course. And we go to Julian, who's nicely cosily tucked up in his commentary position. Julian, this is going to be wet outside anyway.
Yes, Keith, I'm glad I'm inside, just like the chaps in the studio. Never was a warm-up lap more badly named. But as the proverb said, the rain is falling on the plains of La Mancha in central Spain. The local fans have decided it's far too cold to come out and watch motorbike racing. So it's a few tourists in the stands and not many others. So stay at home, watch Sky Sports and get both races uninterrupted. The warm-up lap coming up. Now, historically, this is a track where doubles have been done. Remember John Kaczynski last year? Well, the year before that, 96, Troy Corser did a double. You go back to 94 and 93, Carl Fogarty doubled this meeting. In 91, Doug Poland did the double, and the year before that, the first time there was a race here in 90, that was Raymond Rush who doubled it. There's the results after the, Farrago of Superpole. We have Haga, his first pole position in World Superbike. Scott Russell, his teammate, second. Now watch Scotty, he is a demon in the wet. He could be a good bet. Neil Hodgson continuing his form in third, and local hero Gregorio Lavia, he'll know the tricks of the track in the wet. Colin Edwards, double victor of Monza, leads row 2 from teammate Aaron Slight, Akira Yanagawa and Carl Fogarty, despite, of course, Carl's trip up during Superpole. As we go through the first 2 rows of the grid again. And I was just saying, Keith, this is a track where doubles have been done more often than not. Corser, Kaczynski, Foggy twice, Poland and Raymond Roche. Now let's look at row 4, Gramini, Goddard, Corpiajo and Delatang. They were the last entries in Superpole, of course. The Suzuki can't be easy to ride if Goddard's back there in the wet.
Well, it's maybe he's had a bit of a problem, Goddard. We'll have to wait and find out, but certainly Difficult conditions to start off in here, but at least they are consistent all the way around the track.
Horrible.
Which is, yeah, consistently horrible. You can see there, it really is very, very murky. Normally our cameras will clean up the picture for us and give us a bit of a privileged view of things. The riders, of course, will struggle even more with what they see. It's a bit of a mess in Albacete, but like I say, consistency is going to be the thing at the end of the day that these riders would wish for. You heard Neil Hodgson saying that he didn't really want it to dry out because that really does make it a lottery. Tyre-wise, we end up with all sorts of problems then, and maybe, well, I don't know what I'd do.
Lots of maybes, Keith, lots of maybes. The rain is still coming down, there is no wind, and the question is, I suppose, will a dry line appear on this track?
Well,
difficult to imagine that happening in these conditions. 20 laps, not 26, we think, Keith. The organisers have decided.
Well, maybe a good decision. It's still a long, long race, isn't it? Jeremy McWilliams seems to be on the opinion that perhaps there won't be a dry line, and certainly it looks to me like...
I think he's right.
Yeah, I think it's going to stay damp virtually everywhere. So then, they're on the starters' orders now. We wait for the red light. They're on. It's going to go green. It goes green. Wheel spin. Who's going? Look at Haga. Haga comes across from one side of the track to the other. So the man who grabbed pole after super pole, it is Haga, but then Lavia up the inside. We know he can... And look who's coming through. It's Gramini comes through into fourth place on bike 39. Alessandro Gramini. But Haga leads. Race 1.
Well, Gramini spoiled Lavia's charge there absolutely perfectly. And
look
Neil
at
Hodgson.
Hodgson now, is he in front? No, he's second. So Hodgson is second. We saw Fogarty there as well. He's in something like sixth place at the minute. While bringing up the rears 53, that's Carman, the Slovenian Republic man. Hodgson second.
Edwards in third. Now, Scott Russell was my tip for this, Keith, starting second on the grid, but he's way, way down.
Needs to get a start, man, dragging a foot there in the puddles. Still Haga from 5, Hodgson from 45, Edwards from 39, Gramini from 35, Gregorio Lavia. Then it is Slight. He's good in these conditions as well.
He is. Well, Haga, as they said in the studio, Japanese champion, he's got to be good in the wet. There's Scott Russell halfway down the field.
Who worries? 11 was Corsa, 2 was Fogarty, and they're both in front of Scott Russell. We're on board with the Suzuki now. What a state this is. Everybody feeling their way at this point in the race. Hodgson leads. Hodgson leads. Where has number 41 gone? Where is Haga?
Sixth, Keith.
Sixth, then. Haga's obviously made a mistake because Hodgson now is well in the lead. Well, remember that time when it rained on the last lap at Hockenheim last year when Hodgson should have won his first ever World Superbike race, and this man, Carl Fogarty, duffed him up 3 bends from the end. Hodgson must have that still right in the front of his mind. There is Gregorio Lavia. And the yellow flags were out there as well. Was it an oil flag?
It was an oil flag,
well,
it looked like, Keith.
Slippery substance underfoot.
Well, they're not used to it in La Mancha, are they? It's strange stuff.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not usual in this part of the world, mate, I tell you. As Hodgson stretches away from Colin Edwards, Alessandro Gramini.
Yeah, lots of experience.
Yeah, to put it mildly, been there, done that.
And running in the American Superbike Series. Look at Hodgson bringing up spray off his knee, off his right knee. There was spray coming up off of his foot. It's like a surfboard. Unbelievable.
Well, Edwards looks very comfortable in second place. Very comfortable indeed. Where is Aaron Slight? There he is behind Troy Corsa now.
We're looking at... sorry, we're not. We're looking at Gregorio Lavia. Still, it is Neil Hodgson.
And Gramini's closing in third on Colin Edwards in second.
Well, every man has 15 minutes of fame.
Well, he's had more than that, being 125 world champion, I would suggest, Keith.
But now it's Superbike turn as they all dive. You saw the front forks all dive as they hit the brakes going into that left-hander. Hodgson pulling away from Edwards. Well,
I wouldn't have said Neil was a wet weather specialist.
Well, I wouldn't say he's a specialist. I know he can ride in the
yeah,
weather,
but just a damn good all-round rider. Great stuff. Good to see a revitalised Hodgson.
I thought you were catching my affliction then for a moment, a welded mouth. This morning I seem to be having trouble with it. Hodgson from Edwards, from Gramini. Then it's Lavia still.
Yeah, me. Strange stuff. There's Corsa number 11 in front of Aaron Slight, number 111. And Hodgson, well, the gap opens up, it shrinks down again. The odd man out, the bloke we don't expect to be in this group, is Gramini. The guy you worry about, if you're the other guys, of course, is number 35, Gregorio Lavia, as we see Keeley looking at Carl Fogarty. Frankie Keeley, of course, he's a real wet weather ace, but he's got a bad start. He's way down. There's the leading group pulling away now.
Right, watch out for Troy Corser. Corser's looking for it. There is Hodgson. There is Edwards. Now, Edwards looks to be very, very comfortable, as does Neil Hodgson.
Yeah, a couple of bounces off the curb, but nothing serious.
Well, I wouldn't have said so. It's more like his knee in the puddles. That's what I've been impressed with. Oh, right out to the white line, but Colin Edwards looks to be fairly reserved there in second place at the moment. I would suggest he would be fairly happy to just be towed round a bit for a couple of laps. Still Lavia in third place, but it's Corser who's charging up there on bike number 11. Watch for Troy Corser.
Yeah, Lavia has overtaken Gramini to go third, and the local man, Keith Shawley, he'll know his way around this place in the wet. Think back to Mecklau in Austria several years ago.
Yeah, well, we saw Gregorio Lavia last year in the dry. See the riders there dodging the really major puddles. There are some, well, quite big puddles on this section of the track. Oh, out goes Bontempi.
15.
Oh, that's Igor German,
yep,
is it?
It is.
You're right. I always associate 15 to be Pierre Giorgio Bontempi.
He rode it for years. Remember him here in the dry, rear wheel steering a few years ago.
With the Dunlop,
that's
yes.
Making a point.
They're having a job to steer that off the track, aren't they?
That's a mess.
Igor German's Kawasaki, he's retired. No such problem for Neil Hodgson at the moment, still leading. So the Burnley youngster, he's still only, what, 24 years old now?
Yeah.
And only just at that.
Now, Colin Edwards, we're looking at second place, man. This must be the Slovenian.
He's already off and heading for the agricultural part of the track.
Where is he?
He's gone. He must have lost it on the brakes on the way into that turn, a long way out of it. Right.
You said Colin Edwards was looking really comfortable there in second. He was very good in warm-up, in the wet warm-up. Very good indeed. Now
Look at this behind now, though. Look behind. Lavia there on 35 chasing Edwards, but closing in his Corser.
Here he goes, Keith. That sounds like Edwards has gone through on Hodgson. He has.
So through has gone Colin Edwards. That was a nice move. Well, he has looked very, very...
Oh, here goes Neil. Oh, take that.
On the inside. Well, and
Lavia took advantage.
Well, Lavia's gone through into second place. Edwards, a slight mistake there. Found himself a little bit wide, and two men go through. But Corser all the time building up for it.
Keeley chasing too hard. You see him out the side back of the group. He's jumped a big gap from Carl Buckley to get here.
Number 7, Pier Francesco Keeley then. He's on the back of the bunch, but at the front, this battle now, Lavia goes through, forces Hodgson, Lavia hits the front for the first time, and I think that's the last we're going to see of him for the minute.
It could be, Keith.
Gregorio Lavia on bike 35, Edwards goes through into second place there, Hodgson goes back from second to third, and next up is Corser on bike 11. All the time, though, it is Keeley who's hunting them down at the back of the bunch. We're on board the Suzuki, looking forward to Akira Yanagawa, I think. Is that Akira Yanagawa?
We're on board with James Whittam. Looks like Akira.
No, it's not. Bontempi.
It is Bontempi,
so
number 9.
We're looking at Pier Giorgio Bontempi. As soon as they wear their wet weather gear, they're difficult to recognise.
Completely impossible, I'd say.
Lavia, 35. 45 is Edwards. 5 is Neil Hodgson in third place. Then it's 11, Troy Corser closing in.
And Gregorio Lavia, as you would hope from the local man, looking like he knows the way to ride this track in the wet.
Will it last? That's the question. That's what you said it rain here, Julian.
Yes, well, I'm done now. Forget that, Keith. That was 5 minutes ago. Don't confuse me with what I said earlier.
Yes, and a big cheer. Well, there are fans here. A slightly depleted grandstand at the moment with the amount of rain that we've had. Well, Lavia just makes that bike looks a bit loose to me here and there from Lavia. We'll wait and see.
Well, this track used to hold the record for attendances, of course, before the Brands Hatch. Where's Carl? Down in 9th. That was worrying me for a moment. The year that Juan Garriga rode in Superbikes, they had 70,000 people here.
Hodgson's gone back behind Corser now. Corser up to third. Hodgson goes fourth. Looking back behind him, it's Aaron Slight who's next up on number 111. Then it's number 7, Pier Giorgio sorry.
You've got Bontempi-itis today, haven't you, Keith?
Yeah, Pier Francesco Keeley, of course, is what I meant to say.
There's Slight.
And Slighty was having a look at the inside there of Neil Hodgson.
Didn't make it that time.
Lavia, Edwards and Corser. That's your top 3. Oh, Edwards looking so good on the inside there.
But the man who's made progress is number 11 in the white oversuit there, Troy Corser. A typical stealth job from Troy Corser.
Half a look from James Whittam.
Yes, that's what he's seeing.
Look at the puddles still on the inside of that track. Treacherous conditions at Albacete. Lavia, the local man, seems to have them covered at the moment, but you're right, Corser's the one closing in.
Yeah, he's done most work, and Troy is just such a thinker, isn't he? This is his sort of game. Lavia's been a Spanish super sport champion, if I remember correctly.
As Julian rifles through the paperwork here. Oh, Lavia again drops his knee in the water. Still it is. Edwards in second place. Corsa in third on 11.5 is Hodgson. It looked to me like Aaron Slight was coming under attack there as well from Keeley.
I think you're right, Keith. I think
right on the back still, 39, Alessandro Gramini.
Yeah, and the big gap between the leading group and the rest has been jumped by Keeley. He's made most progress.
And it is Slighty who's gone through on Hodgson now. Aaron Slight has moved up in front of Neil Hodgson.
That captain's out of date already. Let's have a look. There he is, number 111 up to 4th. Whittam is in, what, 10th place, just behind Carl Fogarty. And Corsa now looking like he's got the measure of Colin Edwards.
Well, we'll wait and see on that one, that's for sure. There's Gramini, bike 39. 44 coming
Scott
up in the
Russell.
Scott Russell at last. Well, we know he rides well in the wet.
Yeah, he had an awful start, second on the grid.
Terrible.
And he went absolutely backwards. Keeley looks at the inside of Neil that time. Don't think he got him. Now then, look at Corsa getting drive there that the Honda didn't.
The Honda did.
Later on, the Troy did. Oh, good stuff there. Good dice for second.
So Lavia splashing his way around this track, and you're right, he does know every inch of it, because despite the fact it looked a little bit loose early on as he was making this break, now he's settled down. Colin Edwards still second. Corsa has been looking for a way past Edwards for the last couple of laps. Lavia takes a long look over his left shoulder. He sees 45 Edwards, 11 Corsa, 111. Aaron Slight making up progress now. Corsa better hurry up and make his way past the Honda in front of him, because the Honda behind him is about to attack.
Certainly is. Aaron on the charge. Neil Hodgson running with the big boys again. Edwards, knee in a puddle. It scares me. Oh, Neil, that's getting loose.
Neil Hodgson there with the rear end of the bike. He got out a little bit wide into the real wet stuff, and oh dear me, Hodgson is challenging. Slighty, did he go by? Answer no.
No, it's Keeley that's attacking Hodgson, I think, Keith.
I think you're right.
I think Keeley is looking extremely quick. He will make up places hand over fist. He's a great wet weather rider. There goes Frankie.
Frankie Keeley's gone through on Hodgson then. Well, plenty of passing in this race.
Plenty of tension in this race. My pulse rate's
He goes steady. Lavia is away at the front. Still, look at that, right out to the white lines. He's beginning to believe this race is his already. It's a little early yet, though, I'd have said.
Yeah, lap 6 was his best lap, 1:42. Well, that's, what, 12 seconds off Troy Corsa's lap record. No surprise there, then.
Well, none whatsoever.
I suggest...
Look at this, Scott Russell on 44, closing in. Harger is nowhere to be seen, but it looks to me like Scott Russell is going to gain. Well, he's going to join this lot for sure.
Yeah, Troy Corsa looking at taking the championship lead, I think, at the moment. Oh, this is a good dice.
Only if Edwards lets him have that extra place, I think.
And lets is not a word in his vocabulary at the moment, I feel. And behind him, the Aaron Slight is really getting a move on as well. Really looking good. I think he's going to jump up to this second place dice very quickly indeed. There he is.
Well, he's been there for a minute or two now, but it's not getting any quicker. The second place dice between Edwards and Corsa, if anything, is just getting a little bit mired at the moment. Lavia is getting quicker on every lap. He's just easing his way away at the front. Then there's this dust-up for second place, soon to be joined by, of course, Mr. Slight, who, being a New Zealander, will be used to wet weather.
Actually, I think you were right, Keith. I think it wasn't Slight attacking, it was Keeley attacking Slight I was seeing in the background there.
Yeah, I think Keeley really looks very, very good at the minute. There he goes round the outside. Wow, that's a bit special from Keeley.
Remember Pisano in the wet last year? Absolutely perfect, Frankie, and he's jumped away from Aaron Slight. It's going to be right on the tail of Corsa any minute now. He's going to have to pass 2 in 1, I think, if he's not careful.
Well, we've seen him do that often enough.
Yes. Always good value, Frankie. Always good value.
Oh, he's taken his time to get himself acclimatised out here on the racetrack. He's done that to perfection, as we can hear the locals clapping. Gregorio Lavia, number 35, your race leader. And again, making that bike move under power. Harger up to 10th place.
Well, that's his championship lead going, but he's still going round.
There is Gramini, 39. 44 is Scott Russell closing in. Distinctive style of Scott Russell. That's the race leader, Gregorio Lavia. Yeah. Still Colin Edwards in second place on 45. 11 Corsa, now under attack from fellow Ducati teamster, Pier Francesco Keeley, who's there on bike 7. Oh, right across the puddle. So Frankie, well, he's on for it.
He is. He's certainly on for a rostrum at the moment. I think if the win at the moment is Levia's for the taking. It looks like Gregorio Levia's race to lose. Look at the gap extending, Keith, lap by lap. Levia has the measure of this place.
I was looking at the bow wave that was thrown into the faces of the pursuers there from Colin Edwards. Corsa having to deal with a great flood of water being pushed up from the number 45 Colin Edwards.
Yeah, and the conditions, well, that camera tells you all you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
horrible.
It's sub-aqua.
Yep. Neil Hodgson still hanging on there. Isn't it good to see young Neil, and he's still as young as you, but all Keeley, hanging there with the big boys, with the really top-class world racers, the race winners, and Neil is not being disgraced. He's hanging right with Aaron Slight.
Loosening his grip very slightly, though. Edwards, Corsa, Keeley. That is your top, what, 4?
It is indeed.
Then we've got Aaron Slight, who I would have thought would have been able to hang on to Keeley, but Aaron Slight seems to have run out of momentum at the moment.
Yeah, his championship started so unluckily.
One of the things about a wet race when they start wet, unless the rain keeps coming, the track conditions improve a tiny bit by a time. Oh, look at that puddle there, and Levia splashes his way through it. The conditions improve just a little bit each lap, so the riders must increase their pace and try and keep abreast of the improving conditions as the race progresses. And that is one of the most difficult jobs in these conditions.
And that's the one advantage a local man will have, I suppose, as Andy Metclow did at the Oostenrijkring many years ago. He knew what had happened.
Well, yes, and remember the puddles they had there.
He did.
Oh, look at that sight of Edwards there. So, Colin Edwards in second place on bike 45. Still it's Corsa in third place on 11th. In fourth place is Pier Francesco Keeley on bike 7.
Very different lines from the Honda man and the Ducatis. Very different. And Keeley starting to look a little frustrated for my money now, Keith. I think he's being held up by this dice.
Well, we'll wait and see. Keeley normally makes a pass, and it looks like one's coming. Oh, Troy Corsa goes back to fourth. Keeley goes through. He's up to third. So, well, I've got to say, Colin Edwards will have more difficulty keeping Keeley behind him than he has done
Troy Corsa, indeed. So the question is, has Frankie, as we come to the halfway mark, if he gets past Colin Edwards quickly, has he got time to reel in Levia?
Yeah, I don't think we've actually seen his full pace as number 53 comes into view. That is Vladimir Karban, the Slovenian on the Suzuki. Oh, here we go. Through, Keeley goes through. Second place. Yeah, we needed to do that quickly, as you already pointed out. Back marker, out of the way. Through has gone. Look at the lead he's taken on Colin Edwards already.
He's off and running.
Ducatis 1 and 2. It's all down now to whether this man, Pier Francesco Keeley, can catch Gregorio Levia, who's already out of the picture. Well, there he is. That's the distance. Back to second. Yes, Sam Edwards on your left. That is Troy Corsa's girlfriend.
And Mrs. Keeley on the right.
On the right, absolutely.
Not looking happy. Who can blame her? And I think Frankie's not going to lead the 10 laps, you know. The pace he's on, he could very easily reel Levia in. Half distance, just gone. Frankie Keeley, who hasn't had a win this year. 4th at DNF in Australia, 3rd and 5th at Donington, 5th and 3rd at home in Monza. An absolute failure by his standards, but he always wins the second race. Frankie needs a win. I mean, the championship's out the window for Frankie already this early in the season. That just leaves race wins to shoot for, and he's gunning for one.
Well, I think this year we're never really going to be able to tell when it's going to be completely out the window. There's Hager, by the look of that. Is that Hager that's made a move up on James Whittam? So Hager is making progress.
A yo-yo job, though. He was leading early on lap 1, went back to 6th, then went a long way back. He's, what, 10th now, I think. Oh, Frankie's charging.
Yeah, he really is on it now. So, yeah, Francesco Keeley.
Well, I think it's win or straw bales time for Frankie.
Well, but only for Frankie.
Yep.
The same for Gregorio Levia, actually. I would have said more likely for Gregorio Levia than Frankie, but Keeley is bridging the gap. Keeley is the quickest man at Albacete in these conditions so far today, as it looks to me like Corsa was going to make it a Ducati duo for the top 3 then. Corsa looking at the inside of Edwards. Oh, I'm there to confirm what I said.
Well done, Keith. Yes, nothing like stating the obvious.
No, it's still... Why, you usually do it plenty.
Look at that.
Corsa.
Look at that.
That wasn't obvious. Corsa goes through.
Brilliantly predicted then, Hewitt.
Eventually. He took a little bit of a look at it a couple of bends ago. He has gone through now. All right, now it's all down to tyres, I would suggest.
Lavia's lead shrinking, as you can see from that caption.
Yes.
Frankie took 0.6 out of him last time round. It's not going to be long before they're with him.
Lavia, then Keeley, then Corser, then Edwards on 45, then 111 is Aaron Slight, then it is Neil Hodgson on bike number 5.
I'm trying to remember when it was the last time there was a Spaniard on the rostrum in World Superbike. Would have been Juan Garriga at Hockenheim. That was his one and only rostrum before he quit racing. Instantly, I hear he's been arrested this week for some very dodgy offences, but we won't talk about that.
Even though you already have whetted our appetite. Yes, Haga, series leader up until the end of this race anyway. James Whittam we're on board with, taking a good long look at him. But there is Keeley, and he's with Lavia. He's right there. So Lavia is going to be run down by Keeley, and I mean literally.
Yes, if needs be. Well,
his third place Corser. Corser now has got away from the Honda. But look at this. Well, what a race from Pier Francesco Keeley. He's come from behind all the men in your picture right now. Keeley has done superbly well. He has got to be the man of this race so far.
Yeah, he jumped a big gap to get there. As you said, Keith, then fought his way past all these works bikes we're looking at. There's Scott Russell. Is that Gramini behind him? Still it is. He's dropped off the pace. Scott Russell has done most of the work, but isn't quite there yet.
Now then, Neil Hodgson, bike number 5 here, can still pick up a couple of places if he's got something left, because in front of him are the 2 Hondas. Edwards seems to have shot his bolt and is drifting back into the grip of Aaron Slight. And then, of course, there is Neil Hodgson. So if the Hondas are now going off the pace, perhaps Hodgson can pick up their places.
Well, he appears to be staying there with the 2 factory Hondas comfortably, and I use that word ill-advisedly at the moment, as we look at the 2 leading Ducatis, and Frankie Keeley, fastest lap again last time round. He's a right boy, isn't he, that man?
For want of a better phrase.
Yeah, described by Andy Kershaw as mad as a meat axe to his face, which I think lost something in the translation. Frankie was confused.
Yes, me too. Lap 12 of 20. The reduced race distance down from 26 to 20. Lavia looks over his shoulder, and who does he see? It's that man, Pier Francesco Keeley, who's now right with him. And Keeley, I would suggest, is going to just go drifting straight past Lavia at the first opportunity he gets, because he has caught Lavia with ease.
He has indeed. 2 big gaps that Frankie's jumped to get up to the front of this. Well, this is going to be good stuff. As you said, for both of these 2 guys, championships doesn't matter, only wins matter. So Lavia's not going to give it to him unless he's given no choice.
But of course it does matter, to the point that Haga, if he doesn't win races and is right down in the points, he'd far rather see lower leaderboard men finish first, second and third than some of the top guys. So I think that these 2 are going to make the championship even closer at the top of the field.
Yeah, where's Frankie? About 6th in the championship. He's certainly not in the top 5. Lavia nowhere in the championship, so this is suiting Norrie. Oh, that was a mistake from Lavia.
Here comes Keeley.
Lavia blocks him.
Carl Fogarty still in 9th place then. So number 2, Carl Fogarty, picking up really minor points. It's doing his 3rd place in the championship no good at all. Haga, though, the series leader, is behind him, so he will close in on Haga.
Yeah, it's Corser who's going to do well out of this. Here comes Frankie. No, he doesn't. Oh, tight stuff.
Really close there. So Keeley then took a look at it. Lavia decided not this time, mate.
Yeah, not giving it to him. So the idea that Frankie could breeze past him, I think disabused of that one. Going to find somewhere else to do it. And Lavia is twice a Spanish champion, sport production and super sports, in 93 and 94. No mug, as you'll have gathered. Front row qualifier at Donington.
Now then, he looks over his shoulder again at Keeley. Keeley this time goes through. Got good drive out of that right-hander and blasted past Lavia. Now Lavia, that might have been a sensible move from Gregorio.
It looked to me almost as if he waved him
Well,
past.
he took a long look at him as he went past, and I think Lavia will be happy to be tow-trucked by Keeley. The question is, can he keep up with Keeley? Because Keeley really is putting in some very, very fast laps here. It'd be a shame to see Gregorio Lavia mess this up and end up in the straw bales.
It would do indeed. Troy Corser just coming into back of your picture in 3rd place, number 11. Ducati 1, 2, 3. It's just like the old days.
Yeah, definitely deja vu to a couple of years ago, that. Keeley, Lavia, Corser.
That's a big gap now, back to Aaron Slight, 2.5 seconds. Big in superbike terms, anyway.
Well, of course, Aaron Slight has got in front of Colin Edwards. That's a significant manoeuvre as well, because Slighty is behind Edwards in the championship. Hodgson is still in 6th place. Russell stays 7th.
But
Gramini
closing.
is 8th. Now, Gramini has dropped off the pace. Russell's got in front of Gramini now. Fogarty stays 9th, 30 seconds or so behind the race leader.
37 points for that, Carl. Now then, well, I think if Lavia did let Keeley pass, it was a wise move.
Well, for the championship, we've got to watch this man. Corsa, if he gets past Gramini, that gives him, what, an extra 4 points?
Past Lavia gives him an extra 4 points, yes. And he is, what, 5 points behind Haga in the championship before this race. So Corsa is going to lead anyway if he stays in third.
Yeah, for sure. So 25 points for a race win, 20 for second, 16 for where Corsa is at the moment. And with 5 only being the difference between him and Haga, with Haga on 10.
Which scores him 5 points.
That's right. So that's 9. Well, there you go. Work it out for yourself.
Yep, 4-point lead for Troy Corsa.
Back on board with James Whittam. Looking forward. Now then, is that Haga?
Yes, it is.
There it is. 41, Noriyuki Haga.
Oh, dear me.
8, James Whittam.
That's a bit of an entertaining duo.
Yes, what a pair. Absolutely. If you want drama and excitement, these two, I would suggest, are probably your best exponents of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's his. Look at Haga sideways, yep, just like the dry.
The other thing, of course, is Dunlop tyres. It is said this year that the Michelin... Oh, James Whittam. It's said that the Michelins are working better than the Dunlops in the wet in 1998.
We are now.
We are indeed. Although having said that, Haga wasn't bad at Donington when it was qualifying time.
Yep, Russell closing in on Hodgson and the Hondas. Scott Russell really getting close now. Has he got time to make up? And there he is, number 44 on the Yamaha. He's on the case, Keith. He's on the case.
Hudson, I think he got him then. Yes, he did.
Or give him a shove maybe as well.
He was already underneath him. Neil Hodgson didn't have any choice but to be wide.
Yeah. And Scott Russell, who's had such a dreadful start to the season, will want to push past those two Hondas just as quickly.
Yeah.
It's 44 we're talking about.
45 was his ex-teammate of last year, Colin Edwards.
Another good reason to push past.
Well, yeah, but I don't think there was a lot of animosity.
Oh, no,
indeed. There's Freddie Protat then, bike 27. Here's your back marker. Looking back to Aaron Slide. He's got to be careful here because there's still 3 riders behind him that all want his scalp.
I think Scott Russell is the... Oh, Scotty Rodeo!
Well, how many times have we seen Scott out of the seat? And that is a classic Scott Russell example. Good for Scott Russell. He held onto it yet again. He must have reactions as quick as lightning.
And he didn't lose a place to Neil Hodgson. Astounding stuff from Scott Russell. Well, we expect that from Scott Russell. Now then, Corsa.
Yeah, right with Lavia to my money there. Looked like Lavia.
Well, was it Lavia or a back marker? Watch number 44.
Oh, there he goes. Scotty loses his toe. When you stamp the floor quite hard like that, you lose all your toenails, you know.
Oh, that's horrible.
And you were right. It was Corsa on the back marker, not Corsa and Lavia. So 27 is a back marker.
That's Freddie Protat, who you ID'd earlier. That's the guy in the black oversuit going through your picture now. Then it's Corsa, then it's Edwards, then it's a slightly chastened Scott Russell and Neil Hodgson. That was horrible. That was like losing all your toenails. That is just vile, Keith.
Well, you can't run at 100 miles an hour. It's actually quite difficult. Having tried it once or twice.
It's my lonely speed. I'm getting...
It's okay, though. They grow back.
It's the intervening period I don't like thinking about. 111, Aaron Slide. 45, his teammate Colin Edwards. Those are the two Hondas rolling round in 4th and 5th place. There's some serious activity to come in the closing 4 laps, I feel, in this group.
Yeah, I think that's not a prediction that... He's too wayward at all in this.
Not a difficult one to make, that one.
44, Scott Russell. Looks to me like he has regained that composure that he had up until that slight faux pas a little earlier.
If he'd have got a decent start off 2nd spot on the grid, he'd be right up there.
Yeah, he must be thinking the same thing, but race 2, of course, could be a different matter altogether. We're talking about Scott Russell, bike 44, the Yamaha.
And he's had such a nightmare.
Oh, here we go. Good drive there. Well, Scotty's got some drive, so Yamaha working real well. I think he's got under Edwards. Well, certainly has now.
Here I am.
So, Scott Russell moves up. Next is Aaron Slide in his sights.
Good stuff. We're on with Whittam looking at Haga.
Yes, and Haga loses that traction. Absolutely. Well, we wondered if he'd be dramatic, and I think that's just answered it. Haga down in 10th place. making that wheel spin.
And the top three holding station with a decent gap between all of them now. Keely, Levere, Corker through your picture. 2 seconds out between all of them. The dice is all about fourth place. Scott Russell snaking the Yamaha into turn one.
And fourth place, of course, in the championship, because Aaron Slight was behind in fifth place. Fourth place with his teammate Colin Edwards. And I think that now that Edwards has dropped behind Scott Russell. Oh, Russell's out. He had his hand in the air.
Was it a visor wipe or was it an out?
No, that was a hand right out in the air. Now, did he see a red flag? That's the question. Well, that was an unusual sign.
I think the camera angle got us there, Keith.
Well, I hope you're right. It got me, for sure. Because he's going at the same pace now.
Yeah, I think that was a visor wipe or something. Just clearing it didn't look like. Here we go again. Harger-san.
Yes, about to spin that rear wheel. Not on this corner, he's not. No, this is as they are. And through goes Edwards on Russell. Russell has gone back a place. Well, maybe Russell is suffering from not being able to see. Let's take a look into his visor if we can. Well, we can see him.
Yeah, can he see us? Yeah. And Scott's look over, it's just not normal behaviour from Scott Russell. Neil Hodgson showing signs of interest in that position now.
Well, I wonder if his bike's giving a bit of problems. He's got a bit of an intermittent problem there. Let's take another look.
Well, that would be a good weather in the electrics problem, wouldn't it? Something cutting out intermittently.
Yeah, it'd be unusual for bikes of this standard and this age.
True. But it has to be said as well that the Yamaha and especially the Suzukis are very, very difficult peaky motors to ride at the best of times, never mind in this weather.
Race leader, 7 Keely. Levere secure in second place. I don't think Corsa has got anything to answer Levere's pace in second place. Aaron Slight is still fourth.
Well, I think Troy Corsa has done his normal thinking job, hasn't he? No more risks need be taken. I'm going to get the championship lead and another rostrum finish. Number 11 we're talking about. That's a backmarker lapped again. That's our Slovenian chum.
And it's Aaron Slight there on 111, but Keely, with less than 2 laps to go, is looking superbly well and in control. What a race it's been for him. He didn't make the start. He came from miles behind. He caught all the world's best riders and passed them in atrocious conditions. Even the local hotshot, the man who qualified in pole position before Superpole, Gregorio Levere, had no answer to Keely's pace. Troy Corsa, 96 world champion. He can only manage third. He'll be happy with that for sure, especially considering how much whining he was doing in the week. Not at all happy with the way things have been going.
Oh, there's been some works quality whinging going on.
There really has.
Absolutely good stuff.
Troy Corsa not happy with the setup of his bike, qualified in 10th place before Superpole. So Corsa, we wouldn't expect to be there. I think his talent's being shown in their true light now.
Oh, yeah. Again, as always with Troy, it's a real thinking race, isn't it? He really does use the grey matter and work out the best tactics.
Whatever his problems were, he seems to have overcome them in these wet conditions here at Albacete.
There was a very
Keely is the man, though. Keely is the man that has overcome every single problem. Number 10 there. Is that Andy Stroud, the New Zealander? So Stroudy hopefully won't get in the way of anybody. Looks over his shoulder and sees Gregorio Levere in second place.
Now then,
now then. Corsa settling for third.
Yeah, it's wrong again.
What a load of rubbish.
Wrong again, folks.
Troy Corsa then. He's got a lap to go.
He just heard us accusing him of whinging, didn't he? Decided to rub the commentator's nose in it again. He's on the case of Gregorio Levere.
He has.
And look at the timing. 2 laps to go. Typical Corsa.
Well, just over a lap to go, effectively now.
Yep.
So Corsa will be looking at where he might be able to put the pass on Gregorio. But Gregorio may just fight back.
Oh, well, he did against Keely. It took Keely a couple of goes to get him.
Could be an expensive mistake if Gregorio fights back and has Corsa in the sandpit.
Well, that's the decision Troy Corsa has to make, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Do I stick where I am?
Still Fogarty 9th, Harger still 10th. They're sticking where they are. Whittam in 11th. One thing's for certain, Troy Corsa is a racer.
Yeah, all his instincts will be saying, go for it, go past him. That's absolutely right.
Well, I have to say that our racers in the studio, that was their opinion, that despite the conditions, you should just go for it.
Yes, well, those two lads, it's true to their form as well. Oh, are we looking at Harger-san going sideways again?
Harger in front of James Whittam.
Look at the view he gets.
Yes,
terrible.
None.
And there's a visor as well with water on it to take into account. Not just a windscreen, of course.
Well, he's not looking through the windscreen. That is for certain. Come on, Julian, they don't make them like they used to.
Avon Fairing, yes. One for the oldies there. Now then, Keely
coming to the line. Pierre Francesco Chili then on his last lap. Behind him, Gregorio Lavia. Then it is Troy Corsa. Corsa is going to go for second place. I'm almost certain of that. If Gregorio Lavia leaves a gap, Corsa will go through. And he does. Neatly done. No drama there. So Corsa hits second. 20 points now for Corsa.
Even bigger championship lead. I mean, look at him dragging away from the local man. Good stuff, Troy Corsa. He's not going to give Lavia a chance. I'm sure that Lavia would have bitten straight back, Keith, if he'd been left the option. He hasn't been. I think Gregorio is going to have to settle for the glory of a podium finish in his home round.
I'd like to see the faces on the two girls back in pit lane now. Sam Davies and Mrs. Keeley. They are going to be covering their eyes, I would suggest, at this point of the race.
Oh, Jim
with a big sideways on there as the camera points in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it looks like Lavia has said third will do for me. Not that I think he could do anything about Troy Corsa wants to play the pass.
Look at Yanagawa languishing down there in 12th place.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? What's he doing down there?
Tempian Goddard, 13th to 14th.
That Suzuki must be impossible in the wet. Ask James Hayden about that, he'll tell you it's wonderful.
So Keeley takes a long, lingering look over his shoulder. He knows he hasn't got to work too hard on this last lap. He's done it all in the preceding 19. He has been absolutely outstanding. He's just checking that he's got plenty in hand and hasn't got someone sneaking up on him to pinch it on the last couple of turns. Keeley has another long, long look. Well, what a boy he has been. A true veteran of all classes, Grand Prix, and now Superbike up on the pegs and takes the checkered flag.
Hey,
Francesco Keeley wins. Troy Corsa a superb second, and Gregorio Lavia celebrates better than all of them with third. Fourth place will go to Aaron Slight on number 111. But Ducati's in the top three.
Lavia's happy enough. He's happy enough with a rostrum. I think Frankie was doing his Valentino Rossi impersonation there, coming down the start-finish straight. The 7th career Superbike win for everybody's favourite, Frankie Keeley.
Keeley and Corsa, teammates. Well, that'll put Virginio Ferrari in a good mood, won't it? 1 and 2, his team finishing today.
Absolutely. Edwards, Russell, Hodgson, 5th, 6th, 7th. Gramini gets 8th. Not a bad ride from him. Some of his very soggy-looking fans with big banners in the crowd. Now then, where's Foggy? Over the line in 9th place is the answer.
Yeah, not good points for Carl. He won't be happy with that. But, of course, the man who leads the series is in 10th. So Haga really has a disaster on his hands here in race 1 at Albacete.
First and second in the championship, sorry, first and third in the championship. Haga and Foggy, a bad day so far. Second in the championship, Corsa, absolutely wonderful day. He'll go to the top of the point standings.
And of course, Keeley closes in as well. Keeley jumps up the leaderboard. We can take a look now. 119 points go to Corsa. So Corsa does indeed confirm there very briefly as a top dog after a very wet race. But the man who took the race win, there it is. Look at that. Haga drops to second. Fogarty stays third.
I'm amazed.
Yeah, Edwards is 4th and stays in 4th place. Keeley jumps up to 5th. Slighty slipped to 6th. So Keeley has moved up to 5th place now. Only 6 points behind Edwards in the championship. And he is only 5 points behind Fogarty in the championship, who is only 7 points behind Haga, who is only 9 behind Corsa. Incredible stuff.
And as the caption showed you, I had to check my facts there. Troy Corsa leads the championship. He hasn't won a race yet this season.
Still to come, possibly. Lavia is in 11th place. That is race 1, Albacete. And you can see there, the wind has blown and changed very slightly here. So the track didn't, as predicted, it didn't dry out anywhere. There was not a dry line anywhere around this track. As the marshals, no doubt, drip dry for the next 15 minutes. There is your race winner, followed by Alessandro Gramini. That was a great ride from him as well. Well, there is the race order. Keeley, Corsa, Lavia, Slight. Edwards stayed there for 5th. Russell hung on, literally, for 6th place. Hodgson could only finish 7th after
good ride,
leading
though,
earlier. It was a good ride. Gramini 8th, Carl Fogarty 9th, and Haga in 10th place. Well, they all stayed on, didn't they? Whittam in 11th, Bontempi 12th, Yanagawa languishing in 13th, Bontempi pinching 12th off him in the closing stages. Well, that's certainly race 1. Remember, of course, and it's raining still. Look at that. The rain is still coming down at Albacete. What a miserable day. Well, we've race 2 for you, of course, at 2:30 this afternoon. That'll be live and uninterrupted. Exactly the same thing. The weather seems to be sticking with us as James Whittam heads for the Parc Fermé.
Relieved
and
man.
No doubt a hot air dryer somewhere.
Relieved man, I should think, to stay on.
And look at, there's the Brits in the crowd.
Yes, they're used to it. Spot the old fireman's trousers, the old yellow PVC trousers in the
Colin
crowd.
Edwards there. Dayglow standing by the side of his machine. 2 wins then to Ducati, 2 wins to Honda, but still 3 to Yamaha. So despite the fact that Ducati are on top of the Manufacturers' Championship, Julian's favourite championship of the race, Honda are only second, but Yamaha, despite being third, have had 3 wins.
Yeah, and
they need more out there, Julian.
They do indeed, and Ducati, of course, 1, 2, 3 here in the first race, Keith, has extended the lead over Honda quite dramatically. Great joy in Bologna, if nowhere else, over that.
So, as we look at Albacete's pit lane, the marshals clear up the debris left around the track.
There's Hager.
Hager walking to the...
Yeah, still not looking totally...
well, I've got to say that's not bad, considering how he was walking in Monza.
Yeah, oh, yeah, but compared to Monza, it's a miracle, isn't it? But
Yeah, 3 men had to plonk him on the bike.
Yes.
I still don't believe it could have been as bad as all that, purely and simply from a mechanical point of view, because the doctors wouldn't have allowed him to have raced if he didn't have the movement necessary to control the machine.
Yeah, they filled him full of painkillers as well before the race.
All legal, of course.
Absolutely.
And that is actually very true, because all
they have to be.
Yeah, they have to be, because they are dope tested, and you can't have any substance in your blood that's likely to cause you or the sport disreputable type...
Well, you've got to be careful with things like cold cures, even over-the-counter cold cures and such like, can contain dodgy substances. So
I'd like to know what they made of your diet.
I'm not rising to that one.
You're 2 diets then, Julian.
Oh.
So, we are looking at Pier Francesco Chili in fine form. Oh, Julian chuckles in the corner of the commentary box. Chili, the winner of race 1 in Albacete. Good for the sport, good for the championship.
Watch the pose.
Superb. He's been watching Valentino
Definitely.
Rossi, his compatriot, who was no doubt watching Kevin Schwantz and various others in days gone by.
Fred Merkel would be knocking on the door telling you it was he, Flying Fred, who started all this stuff, not Kevin Schwantz.
It's a pose that says, where has everyone gone, though?
Yes. And the answer was, we can't underline what a good, precise ride that was from Frankie Keeley. Awful start. 3rd row of the grid after the Farrago and Super Pole. Jumped across a big gap to the group and then jumped another big gap to catch the long-time leader Gregorio Lavia. That's one heck of a ride.
Now, we heard your report, Julian, on Super Pole, but what's your personal opinion on Super Pole, briefly, because I know what you like?
Yes, that's the shortest question you've ever asked. I've never liked it, Keith. I don't think it's...
Cricket.
It's good for racing. I don't think it's cricket. I don't think it's particularly good entertainment either. One bloke out on a racetrack is not entertainment. I think, as usual, the Formula 1 car people have got it right. You have one qualifying session, half hour, 45 minutes. Everything else is... There's Scotty getting out the saddle. If we had one qualifying session, the last practice session, that would be great entertainment and make great television. End of sermon.
Well, being an ex-rider, I just like normal qualifying, of course. Well, we look at pit lane, we're waiting for them to come onto the rostrum now. Remember, we also have the World's Supersport Series, the Supersport World Series race coming up as well, live here on Sky.
Here's a local hooligan about to do
Yes,
improbable things on a Super Mono by the look of it.
Yes, that's... I think he'd probably prefer a bit more grip, though, than
Yes.
what's available today, as he wheelies his way around the track.
Yes, Frankie.
Well, it's still raining like mad. You can see the rain in front there of the tower. The umbrellas are all still up around the track. Now look at the pit lane speed limit, 85 kilometres an hour, Julian.
Yep. Just under 60 miles an hour.
Improvement during the night, especially on suspension.
Well, certainly not using that kind of speed to get to our rostrum, because we're having to wait. Now then, lights on. This is a bit of Jeremy McWilliams. Have you ever seen him play on one of these?
I know, only from a safe distance.
There's no safe distance when Jeremy McWilliams is on a super motard bike. I do. That is control.
Oh, that is bike control, isn't it? Look at that.
One-handed as well. Superb stuff. Well, Pier Francesco Chili, you might have been the entertainment as far as World Superbike's concerned, but eat your heart out now. That looked like Scott Russell at turn 5.
Yes, yes. Oh, Scott will be out there just taking notes, I think.
Will he be able to do it?
Yeah, if Scott Russell, Keith, gets a good start in race 2.
Well, it all depends on the weather at the end of the day. It depends where this weather actually ends up. We'll have to wait and find out, of course. So we've got, 2.5 hours before the start of the second race of World Superbikes today.
But the weather does look well set, hardly any breeze, clouds horizon to horizon.
Amazing, isn't it? It's just horrendous weather. It's moved into central Spain just overnight, really. I mean, the weather's been okay here for a couple of days, and now it's just terrible.
Yeah, there was a few drops in the first practice, but that's all. And it's really, and it caused a complete farrago in Superpole. We had Frankie Keeley.
Here we go. Oh, one-handed burnout, donut. That's what I like to see. I can do them.
Yeah.
OK, then, car park.
Not on my motorbike, mate.
He's trying to shake the water out of his boots there, of course, while he does a one-handed donut.
Yeah. Quickly, Keith, on Superpole. The fastest man in Superpole was Frankie Keeley. He started from the third row of the grid. That has got to be a nonsense.
So, as we wait for them to go to the rostrum, that is the result of race 1 today from Albacete. Keeley, Corsa, Lavia, all the Ducatis go to the top of the podium. Aaron Slight, the first of the two Hondas. Colin Edwards in 5th. Scott Russell, a fine ride, a lousy start, but a fine ride, moves through into 6th place. Fogarty, 7th. No, he's not. Hodgson was 7th. Fogarty finished 9th. Noriyuki Haga, he was in 8th place. So, as we correct our leaderboard, we wait for the boys. They are on the podium. There they are then. Top of the podium.
Yes, the sound effects from our stuntman.
Yes, as we see 3 men that were stunning.
And also soggy.
Very, I would say. Change of leathers. They put on about 10 pounds in weight each as the leather soaks up the water.
That's not a joke, is it? I mean, they absolutely act like sponges.
Perhaps we ought to do a commentary sat in a bucket of water just to get true feeling in this studio.
No, it'd be far too miserable, Keith.
Well, that's how they feel when they're out there, that's for certain.
No, I've been wet on motorbikes quite enough in my life, thank you, I can remember.
I think our pit lane camera actually has got a bit too wet as well, because we're only going to get a look at this from afar.
Yeah, well, there's no champagne swigging going on, of course, so they've got to work again in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, no champagne swigging, but I think there's going to be some spraying.
Oh, I would hope so.
Well, I would too. So what was that comment for? Well, as we take a look then at the boys accepting the congratulations from the officials and, of course, the slightly Spartan by the comparison of normal things here at Albacete. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with some analysis in the studio in just a moment.